So on the cancer now what? We are to, I think we are past not having surgery, which in one way is really good. In a different way, I have cancer in the bones of my spinal cord. Hey, Annie Vanny. That's terrifying. Much less that the cancer broke one of the bones. Now this is where they say we're going to do radiation, and every time I have gone to any doctor for any of this, they keep looking at me and going, this is odd, this is weird, this is unusual, this is not the normal way of things that they go. You're like, okay, yay. So what are we doing now? So my oncologist is like, we are not going to worry about the cancer here because it's surgically removed. We're not going to worry that the lymph nodes still had cancer in them that they took out. What we have to focus now on is the cancer in your neck. I'm going, okay. And the broken bone. I'm going, okay. They're like, you're going to be restricted. Okay. There is no driving, which kind of makes sense. You can't move your neck, so you can't see. And on the pain pills, I couldn't drive anyway. There's no exercising. If you look at me, it's like I exercise anyway, so we're okay with that. You have to be careful about being jostled or being bumped into or tripping or falling or anything that moves here, because you wear this 24 hours a day. If trying to sleep in this is interesting, trying to do anything in this is interesting. The only time you're allowed to take this off is when you take a shower, and that's because this can't get wet. It's kind of like it's your cast for your neck. Okay. So in my head, I'm going, I could permanently lose everything. I've had 3 doctors look at me and say, it's probably not a good idea if you go back to work this semester, because I love what I do, but it wouldn't take but one bump in the hallway and I'm a vegetable. Or it wouldn't take me falling or tripping or anything accidental, and I have to live with permanent repercussions. It's like, okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do 10 sessions of radiation is what they recommended. All right. So the first day you go to, all of these buildings are under one specific name. They're all kind of a group, but we have one in the town I live in. So we go there because that's going to be the easiest, because these are 10 days straight in a row. The only time you don't do them is the weekend falls in between, so you don't do the weekend. But you have 10 days straight of radiation, except for that one weekend that fell in the middle-ish. So what you do is, they're so very sweet, is you go back there and you have to get the nice little doctor's gown on. Somebody finally got a clue and made the patient's thing that actually has a back that swings over to the back, so you can put it on this arm, so you're still doing what they're wanting you to do, but you're not walking around flashing everybody or holding it like this. I don't know who came up with it, but somebody finally was smart enough to do it. So you go back there for your first time. Now you have to understand, a lot has happened in a very, very short amount of time. I was diagnosed with cancer. I went through 2 surgeries. I had the E. coli in between. Then the next thing I know, I have cancer in my neck, and my neck is broken. It's a lot And I once was told or read that what you feel is fine. It's okay. But you are responsible for the actions you do because of those feelings and the consequences. So I am all kinds of over the place, but I'm still trying to control my reactions. So I get back there and I meet a very sweet, kind, caring nurse. She's not actually part of the radiation team, but she's in the building. And she looks at me, and I don't know what I did to trigger her, oh no, concern. But I must have triggered it really bad, because she's like, are you okay? We've got people you can talk to. Are you okay? And looked at her and went, I'm fine. And she kept going on, and it finally hit me. My brain cleared up enough for me to understand what she was going on about. I finally went, okay. Am I depressed? Probably. Am I anxious? Oh, probably. Am I suicidal? No. I'm okay. I am fine. I'm dealing. You're really not fine. You're just dealing with what you got. So they take you back there. Now, what you don't understand is this has become kind of like my safety net. When it's on, I feel like I'm okay. That I'm, even if I get jostled a little bit, I'm okay. Well, to do the radiation, you can't have this on. They will mold a pillow to your neck, since it's my neck that they were radiating, because it's pinpoint radiation. And then they take this big rectangle of plastic, and it's warm, and they tell you be very still. You're like, because you're laying down on this table, and you're like, okay. Now they're fabulous. They tell you everything they're going to do before they do it. They're going to lay this plastic over you and mold it to you, because they have to have it, because it's pinpoint radiation. You don't want radiation going somewhere that's not supposed to go when you're radiating the bones in your spinal cord. I went, okay, what can I say? No. At this point in time, there's nothing you can say. It's just go through it. And then they will do the radiation. What they don't tell you is that when they mold this, you come back the next day. It's your first day of radiation. This is just prep. What they don't tell you is that they bolt you down to a table with this mask. And you can't move, because if somehow you move, then they have to start everything all over again. And it's a process. And when I say it's a mask, it is a literal head mask. It's kind of like the ancient Egyptians. You are put into this, bolted down. See the bolts? To the table. You can't move even if you want to. Here's the problem. It was molded to fit me perfectly. One of the prescriptions I'm on is a massive steroid. If you've ever known anything about steroids, you will swell up. So when I go in the next day to do first thing of radiation, it doesn't fit the way it's supposed to. This part right here comes in so close on my throat, I feel like I'm choking. Now, I have choking issues anyway. Something doesn't work quite right, so I can choke on almost anything. I have choked so bad one time that they called the ambulance. So that's a really big fear of mine. So this was solid. It was one complete solid piece. The people I worked with, or the people who worked with me, were so wonderful. They knew this was going to be an issue. They got permission from the doctor, because this was part here was not needed, to cut this part away, because it was, no matter what I did, I was never the same size twice in a row because of all the medication I'm on. And it would literally feel like something was holding me by the hand, choking me. So they cut this out. So at least I could breathe. That first day, we barely got through it. There were tears, there was all kinds of stuff. I barely got through it, but I did, because they did 2 sessions of radiation. One session was on C2, the other session was on the other 2 bones. And I knew I had to go back the next day. The numbers are because they have to run the numbers once a week to make sure that the radiation is going exactly where it's supposed to be. When you go in and you are strapped to the table, they will tell you, turn your chin here, make sure that way you are exactly the way you were the first time they did this. And then they take an x-ray, and the x-ray is approved by the radiologist, the doctor. And then they do the radiation. And this machine goes around you twice. I don't know. For some it may go around more, for some it may go around less. And you hear it. The only way I could get, the first 2 or 3 radiations I went through, I kept trying to figure out some way of getting through it to where I didn't freak out. Because all you can think of is, I am strapped to this table. If something goes wrong, I can't move. I can't get out. Now they give you this little donut thing to hold, and if you hold up your hand, they will immediately rush in, which is good. And I only had to do that once because of the drainage pulled, and I couldn't swallow. I was choking. But you do know that everything has to start all over again. So they have to redo the x-ray. They have to redo everything. Thank goodness this was before we had started, so we didn't have to redo everything on that one time. And they would ask you, can you manage this for 5 minutes? And you're going, you finally get to some point where I can handle this for 5 minutes. I can do this for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And some days were a lot easier. You go in, you breathe, and you're okay. By the end, I had I guess a mantra in my head, and I would hold the little donut and go, faith, love, hope, believe, obey God. And that's what I just focused on the whole 5 minutes. I could get through it. And then you stop. They don't indulge you for the second one, but you can kind of breathe for a second, and you go through the second one. And then you're done. 10 days of that. And you're going, okay. There are side effects. There's side effects to everything. The radiation has side effects. The medicine has side effects. So that's what we'll go over next time, is the side effects. And how well they can hurt your thinking and everything else that's going on. Because the side effects hurt. There's not much about this that doesn't hurt.